Alright, so fresh on the heels of the previous video on the channel where we showcased just a moment ago in real time, a couple hours anyway. So fresh on the heels of that, we showed how to install or retrofit a K7000 onto a Sharp XM-1801N out of a Nintendo Red Tent. And the Red Tents have two monitors. They're both from the factory, a Sharp XM-1801N. And the first one out of the tent that I pulled out, I fired it up and I was greeted with the sound of a sizzling yoke. I could hear it sizzling. So I shut it down and measured the horizontal winding, and it read like 50k ohm or some ungodly astronomical number. I'm like, okay, well, there's our problem. The yoke is bad. So I pulled it off and found the yoke was bad, had shorted windings, a bunch of corrosion. And so I was able to, fortunately, I had a spare K7000 skinny neck 7-pin yoke in my stash of yokes. I got a bunch of them sitting here. So I threw it on the tube and got everything hooked up and adjusted, did the inversion mod, and everything became fat, dumb, and happy. So if you're seeing this video before the one previous to this one, go watch the one previous to this one on the channel and you'll understand how to do the inversion mod and everything that went with doing all that. So here is the second monitor, and the game plan was to use the original 1801 yoke because it read properly. It read 5 ohms for horizontal and 14 ohms for vertical. So I got another K7000 and made a little template here out of cardboard to protect it, and it's nice and secure. The chassis is held in with 2 screws, one on each end, like it's supposed to be. And on the front, it's about 1/8 of an inch from the tube to the filter cap, and as well over here, it's got a little bit of space there, so it's nice and secure, so it won't go anywhere. All right, so after getting all that ready to go, I hooked it up, got everything adjusted, turned it on, adjusted or set up the way it needs to be, turned it on, and I heard sizzling. The chassis did not fire up. I had no high voltage. All I heard was a sizzling noise coming from the yoke. So even though the yoke read okay, it was not good. We have the original yoke here, and there was a whole bunch of green corrosion right here that I scraped away. And you can see that it's just deeply embedded in there, and that whole area was just corroded. When I picked away at the corrosion, you can see that there's a busted winding right there. So that's not even the major damage. The major damage is down here, and it's just cooked. Let's see if I can get a good shot in there. Yeah, I don't know if you can see in there. It's corroded, and it's just basically melted. It's hard to see, but down inside there, that whole assembly down there is just melted. So my game plan to try and see how well you'd be able to just slave on a 7000 with a factory 1801 yoke is not going to be able to be shown, because this yoke is a goner, just like the first one. So both yokes from both monitors were bad. Imagine that. Number one failure on these 1801s is the yoke. So I grabbed the second K7000 that I had from the stash, and I robbed a 7000 yoke from a tube that has severe turbo outrun screen burn, and that tube I can use as a test tube now if I need to in the future. So there's no love lost by stealing the yoke from it, because I wouldn't have been able to put it in any game because the screen burn was so bad. So no love lost there. So I was able to acquire a second yoke, and I had another 7000 I was able to use. Got the inversion mod done for the colors. After getting everything situated and ready to go, we'll turn it on and check it out. There you go. A little bit of degaussing needs done because the tube hasn't been used in so long, but not a big deal. And there you go. We can scroll through here and you can see I got RGB. Again, just need some degaussing. And if we flip our inversion switch, which is dip switch 4, now we have our inverted colors. And if we disconnect the video and hook up good old Mortal Kombat from the board here, there you go. So I now have 2 ready to go, ready to drop in, fully working, looking great, 18-inch monitors to put back in the Red Tent, and I can proceed with my restoration, because this is really what would have held me back with the monitors, because you can't put a 19-inch in there, it won't fit. There's no other option. I absolutely was not going to LCD them, so because the tubes were okay, there was no reason to try and do something like this. So yes, you can put a K7000 19-inch skinny neck 7-pin neck board on an 1801 monitor, and if you get it all adjusted properly and working, it should work. Now, assuming you have a functional original 1801 yoke, you should have the same result. Now, I can't verify that the image won't be too wide or too narrow because the factory one is 5 ohms versus the K7000 is 2.3-ish for horizontal. But it shouldn't be that big of enough of a difference to cause you to not be able to simply just change out the width cap and be good to go. So, unfortunately, I can't document that or show it, but that should be simple as that. But otherwise, yeah, so I'm going to drop these in the red tin. And as far as the audio, you know, the 1801s and the Sanyos, they have the built-in audio circuit for amplification. But all I need to do is go on Amazon and buy a couple of cheap small audio amplifier circuits with the volume knob, and I can use those for the volume. And that'll you know, I can mount them to the frame here or something and run a remote for the adjustment. So I shouldn't have any problems getting audio working again, so no big deal there. But yeah, otherwise, both monitors now up and running with the full K7000 retrofit conversion on the 18-inch XM-1801N monitors. So there we go. Thanks for watching, and stay tuned for some more information on the red tint once I get the restoration going. Should be quite an undertaking because it was converted to a Neo Geo, believe it or not, and it needs everything. When I mean everything, it needs everything. Coin buckets and control panels and switches and buttons and artwork, and the whole red tint needs repainted and sanded, not necessarily in that order. It's just be a nightmare to try and do, but anyway, so yeah, successful. I'm gonna turn this it's off already, okay. And so stay tuned. I got 2 more K7000s to work on down here below for you guys, you're aware. 2 videos back I talked about how I have 4 7000s to work on. 2 of them are done. I got 2 more to do. So those will be the next 2 videos on the channel. So stay tuned for those. Otherwise, I appreciate it, and we'll see you next time.